Welcome back to the Coin Lover and Treasure Hunter. Today we are diving into some of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. Ordinary 1 cent coins that turned out to be worth big money. If you've got jars of change lying around or you love the thrill of searching for hidden treasure, stay tuned. Some of these coins could be sitting in your pocket right now. Let's get started. The Lincoln penny 1 cent coin from the year 1961 struck in the United States of America and carrying no mint mark, which means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. And today we wander together through its historical soil, its artistic design, its metal heart, and its place in the long river of American small change as we imagine this uncirculated coin resting in its quiet brilliance, untouched by the palms of time, glowing like a tiny copper sunrise, ready to reveal stories that stretch back more than half a century. Before we step further into the numismatic forest, we let the year 1961 open itself before us, a year drifting between the echoes of the 50s and the rising winds of the 60s, a year carrying its own shifting hopes and anxieties. And into that climate, the humble Lincoln cent continued its steady pilgrimage through American pockets, its obverse still bearing the solemn portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, whose design had already wandered across decades, reminding citizens of endurance, leadership, and the long shadow of history. If we hold an uncirculated 1961 cent in our mind, we picture sharp edges, fresh luster, and a sense that the coin still hums faintly with the machinery that pressed it into being, the copper alloy surface shimmering like a miniature field under morning light, each detail so crisp that Lincoln's coat folds seem almost newly carved, and the word Liberty stands as if freshly declared, while the date 1961 rests with the quiet dignity of something knowing its own place in the timeline of the nation. Collectors often regard uncirculated examples of this coin with a mixture of affection and careful scrutiny, because condition is the silent ruler of value, and an uncirculated 1961 cent without a mint mark offers an accessible yet rewarding piece for those building sets or simply admiring the echoes of American history in metallic form. Though millions were minted, the number of high-grade survivors is always less than imagination suggests, and truly pristine pieces carry a charm that goes beyond market measurement. When considering value, the landscape shifts like a broad plain under changing sky, and for most uncirculated 1961 cents the worth is modest, though pieces graded extremely high by professional services can rise in desirability. Still, the emotional and historical resonance of the coin can deepen its appeal for collectors who seek more than monetary reward. They seek continuity and connection to the invisible hands that shaped the era, from politics to culture to the rhythms of ordinary life. If we expand the lens to the reverse of the coin, we find the Lincoln Memorial standing tall and centered, a structure captured in fine architectural lines that invite the eye to trace the steps and columns as though wandering through a tiny copper monument, and above it the words United States of America arc across the design like a banner, while 1 cent anchors the bottom, firmly announcing the coin's purpose, even as its presence becomes symbolic rather than transactional in the hands of collectors. As we continue this long-form journey, imagine this presentation unfolding over many minutes, letting each detail breathe at human pace, letting curiosity stretch itself across time, while we reflect on how small objects like this cent can gather meaning the way a dry leaf gathers afternoon sunlight, becoming more than it appears, and how the act of studying a single coin invites us to slow down, to engage with history not as a library shelf but as a living thread woven through our present moment. Now we dive deeper into the technical side. The alloy of the 1961 cent, composed primarily of copper with a measure of tin and zinc, grants the coin its warm tone, and this metal mixture has its own quiet story shaped by industrial needs, wartime shifts, earlier decades of policy and the evolving costs of minting small denomination coins and each uncirculated piece preserves not just the artistry on its surface but the metallurgical decisions echoing from the foundries of its creation. Beyond facts and figures, the 1961 cent also dwells in the realm of personal nostalgia for many people, recalling moments of childhood allowance coin collections inherited from grandparents or the first spark of fascination with history that arrives when a person realizes that every object from the past is a survivor, and the uncirculated 1961 cent is a survivor, untouched, intact, carrying the grace of stillness as though time approached it and then stepped politely aside. As this long exploration reaches its final curve, we reflect on how the uncirculated 1961 Lincoln penny without a mint mark stands not only as a collectible item but as a tiny copper lantern illuminating slices of American memory and human curiosity, and though its market value may not soar, its narrative value swells for anyone willing to linger and listen to what it offers, and so we leave it resting in the palm of imagination, shining softly as the video fades toward its closing moment. Next up, the 1976 Lincoln 1 cent coin struck without a mint mark in uncirculated condition, a small copper-toned traveler that carries the weight of a country celebrating its 200th year of independence, and a quiet piece of American history that hides in plain sight within desk drawers, coin albums, and old jars across the nation. This humble coin from the Philadelphia Mint refuses to shout and instead whispers with the calm voice of an object that has survived decades without losing its crisp edges, satin surfaces, or the rounded contours of Abraham Lincoln's profile preserved like a leaf pressed carefully inside a book. As we open the doorway into its world, consider how the year 1976 pulsed with bicentennial energy across the United States of America, though the penny itself kept its traditional design rather than adopting a special reverse like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar. It nevertheless lived inside the same patriotic atmosphere, and its unmarked origin at the Philadelphia Mint adds a layer of mystery because collectors must rely on weight, color, luster, and strike sharpness to understand its authenticity and condition, weaving a kind of low-volume detective work through every small detail of the coin to appreciate the value of this penny in uncirculated condition. Imagine removing it from its original mint set or happening upon it perfectly kept in a capsule free from fingerprints, scratches, or the slow oxidation that often gives older scents their darker skin. An uncirculated 1976 cent without a mint mark shines softly like a sunrise through dusty glass, and that beauty is part of its draw. While price guides often list these pieces between a modest handful of dollars and sometimes more when judged as exceptionally preserved by professional grading services, the true worth for many hobbyists springs from the stories it carries and the cultural resonance of the bicentennial year. During this journey, we explore how the portrait by Victor David Brenner still speaks across the decades with texture alive in Lincoln's beard and cheek and neck, and how the reverse design framed by Wheat in earlier days, now replaced with the proud Lincoln Memorial, reflects the architectural solidity of a nation that has weathered storms both political and social. The coin becomes a miniature sculpture of national memory, and every groove along the rim is a timestamp in metal. Collectors often ask about rarity, and while the 1976 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is not rare in circulation, the uncirculated examples, especially those with strong original luster, strike clarity, and no signs of contact, become far more desirable. The difference between an uncirculated coin and a brilliant uncirculated coin might seem tiny, but under magnification, each microscopic shape and shine becomes a clue, like reading the motions of wind across tall grass, and specialists use these readings to judge value, scarcity, and the possible premium a piece can command at auction or through private sale. Let us step for a moment into the grading world where uncirculated coins range across a spectrum, from to each level A, ladder rung in pursuit of perfection. The 1976 Lincoln cent, without mint mark, sits most commonly between and when pulled from original mint sets, though higher. Examples do exist, and those exceptional survivors rise like lone mountain peaks in a quiet valley, attracting collectors who chase immaculate surfaces and a certain breathless glow that only untouched copper can deliver. What makes this coin particularly engaging for long form study is not just its age or connection to the bicentennial year, but its accessibility. Almost everyone at some point has held a Lincoln cent, yet very few have held one that has traveled nearly half a century without entering the general bloodstream of commerce, staying instead in envelopes, albums, or sets like a patient seed, waiting for someone to notice its potential value. And the slow accumulation of time strengthens its narrative, transforming it from a common coin into a deliberate artifact. The monetary value may remain modest for many examples, but emotional and educational value outweigh the numbers, because this cent teaches the fundamentals of numismatic surface preservation, minting processes, historical context, and grading principles. It reminds us that even the simplest coin can become an ambassador of its era, carrying the tone, mood, and national identity of 1976 inside its thin copper shell. And when you hold an uncirculated specimen, you hold a sliver of the past that has refused to erode. As we continue this extended examination, imagine creating a small collection consisting of 1976 cents in varying conditions, from worn to brilliant uncirculated, comparing the shine, the texture, the sharpness of details, noting how circulation slowly transforms metal and how untouched surfaces preserve the exact moment of striking. This exercise deepens understanding and reveals why collectors treasure uncirculated coins for their frozen in time quality, offering a clear visual of what the mint intended before time and pockets and friction rewrote the surfaces. In closing, let this 1976 Lincoln penny without mint mark serve as a meditation on patience, preservation, and small wonders, for though it might be worth only a few dollars, its true significance rises from the story it tells, the celebration it witnessed, and the decades it has endured without losing its form or voice, reminding us that history is often found not in monuments or museums, but in small copper circles resting quietly in the corners of our lives. Next up, the 1977 Lincoln cent without a mint mark originates from the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not place identifying letters on these coins, and this detail breathed a kind of anonymity into the cent while still anchoring it firmly in the vast cascade of yearly production. And yet, although millions were struck, there is something magnetic about encountering one preserved in an untouched state, gleaming as though it has been waiting for decades inside a protective shell of cardboard and plastic, hoping some curious mind would one day lift it toward a light and wonder how such an ordinary object could survive for so long without tasting the wear of pockets and palms. Before we explore the typical value of this coin, we must stroll slowly through its physical nature, as if walking through a museum hall at dusk, for the obverse bears the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, sculpted with patient precision by Victor David Brenner, a portrait introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's centennial birth year, and after many decades, the design still feels like a quiet tribute to integrity and resilience, while the reverse of the 1977 cent carries the Lincoln Memorial, its pillars rising like disciplined guardians of national memory. And though countless Americans have carried this image in their pockets, the uncirculated coin reveals details that circulation tends to erase, including sharp edges, crisp lines, and a lustrous surface that glows softly as if lit from within. Collectors often speak of uncirculated coins with a tone that borders on reverence, since such pieces are like time capsules preserved from the friction of the world, and a 1977 cent with no mint mark that has never journeyed through commerce feels like a tiny, preserved moment from an era shaped by shifting culture, economic tension, and evolving identity. And though the coin may seem common when counted purely by mintages, condition can lift it into a realm where collectors find satisfaction, value, and a sense of calm continuity in the predictable yet enchanting symmetry of numismatic study. In terms of general worth, an uncirculated 1977 Lincoln cent without a mint mark tends to carry a modest value, often just a few dollars, unless it attains a high grading level, where the surfaces glow with almost mirror-like sheen and the fields remain free of marks or imperfections, and these high-grade survivors sometimes command noticeably higher prices, especially when certified by respected grading services, because collectors often chase the thrill of owning a piece that feels as flawless as it did when it first left the mint, in an age before smartphones, before the internet, and before the acceleration of everything familiar. But the true story of this coin lies not merely in its price and rarity, but in the way collectors use it as a doorway into a deeper appreciation of American coinage. For the Lincoln cent series spans more than a century and provides a chronological thread that weaves through wars, triumphs, disappointments, innovations, and cultural shifts. And when you hold a bright, uncirculated 1977 cent, you hold a sliver of that immense tapestry, a tiny, shimmering witness to a moment when copper still had a strong presence in the alloy, and when minting technology was refining itself while still relying on time-tested methods and machinery. For those who wish to understand the full journey of such a coin, it helps to imagine its birth within the mint, where great rhythmic presses thundered through the halls, shaping blank planchets into coins that would soon move across the nation. And though most of them spilled into bank bags to serve ordinary transactions, a very small number were spared from circulation by collectors, dealers, or chance circumstances, resting quietly in roll sets or sealed envelopes like seeds waiting to be rediscovered long after the world had changed around them. And these preserved pieces carry a serenity felt only by objects unburdened by daily wear. As we reflect further, we might wander into the realm of symbolism, where the Lincoln cent is more than currency and becomes a miniature piece of cultural art, since it tells a story of leadership, sacrifice, unity, and reflection. And in 1977, when the nation continued navigating its place in a shifting global landscape, the cent offered a simple anchor, reminding citizens of their shared heritage and values. And today, in an uncirculated state, it becomes a durable echo of that time, humming softly like a distant instrument tuned to the frequency of memory, patience, and connection. In the world of long-form numismatic storytelling, we often linger on the atmosphere surrounding a coin, and so we imagine the 1977 cent resting in a collector's cabinet, waiting like a quiet character in a novel. And when someone finally studies its surfaces under magnification, they might notice faint patterns of the original mint luster moving in arcs like gentle waves on a lake. And through these subtle textures, the coin seems to speak, telling the observer that value is not only measured in dollars, but in curiosity, in attention, and in the slow ritual of observing something small yet enduring. As we draw the curtain on this extended meditation, we invite viewers and listeners to appreciate the 1977 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, not simply as an object of potential profit, but as a soft, glowing fragment of historical continuity. And though its monetary worth may remain modest, its significance grows when treated as an artifact, a companion to memory, a quiet testament to craftsmanship and time. And by spending this long, reflective moment together, we honor the humble cent that still carries the silhouette of a president who changed a nation, offering in its copper shine a reminder that even our Smallest creations can hold surprising depth and steady meaning. Thanks for watching.